Welcome. Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Journey Through the Wildwood with me, Sadhana. And I've really been enjoying this sharing this step-by-step process with you. As I've mentioned in the previous videos, I have wandered through the Wildwood on several different occasions. And I thought that this time I would share it with you and go through in a very step-by-step process. So just let me get the chat open if anybody joins the live today. And for the most part, I will be doing each of these steps live so that if you do have questions, I can answer them for you. And those of you that are watching this in the playback, or sometimes it takes a couple of a couple of breaths to digest all of this, especially with me doing these next few so close together. So take your time with this. There's no pressure to watch all of the videos at once. It's really important that you enjoy this journey and you take time to integrate the journey. Hello to Andrew and Woven Pixel and Jamie. Thanks for joining me this morning or this afternoon. Yeah, so today we're going to look at the suit of vessels, the element of water, and where we are in the wheel of the year with our friends in the southern hemisphere. So yesterday we were looking at the energy of the shaman and the element of air, or the suit of arrows in this deck. And today we're going to look at the energy of the seer, the element of water, and the suit of vessels. Okay. And also, as I was reviewing more of the material for this series, I've decided that I'm going to do some recordings, and I will do these pre-recorded recordings. I mean the meditations. So in the guidebook for the deck itself, there's one meditation in the back. So I will do that one, as well as in Wild Magic. In this one, there's a few guided meditations. So I think what I'll do is I'll record them and then post them in this playlist. And so you can work with your deck in that way as well too, because they're really helpful ways to start to tap into the energy of your Wildwood Tarot. Hi, Kristen and Joseph. Mary Beth, good morning. West Star Tarot, hello. Snowy New England. Yeah, I've heard. Oh my goodness, the weather all over the place. It's like, is it spring? Is it winter? Where in the world? What in the world are we? So wherever you are on your cycle of seasons, just know that it is exactly where you need to be, and to really enjoy the journey. I think that's one of the things that sometimes we forget. If we struggle against the weather, if we struggle against the climate rather than kind of leaning into it and just being with it, things can get really challenging. You know, it's important to just kind of be sometimes. So just to review, these 4 cards are the inner hub of the Wheel of the Year in the Wildwood Tarot. And yesterday we looked at the shaman and his connection with the element of air. And today we'll look at the seer, who stands opposite the shaman in this inner hub. And where the shaman represents the power of the outer world, the seer represents the importance of attending to our inner world. And in this deck, you will notice the shaman's eyes are open, the seer's eyes are closed. So that's just a little clue to the outer and the inner. There's lots of beautiful metaphors with the different symbols in the cards. The shaman has a bear cloak, which is, we all have different associations with the medicine of the bear, but you can reflect on how that strength and power, perhaps more masculine energy, is there just with the energy of that cloak. as opposed to the seer, whose cloak is owl feathers. Much softer, more gentle. It does connect her to the element of air, connects her to the animals, just like the shaman is very much connected to the animals. And in both these cards, unlike in a traditional tarot deck, both the shaman and the seer have the 4 elements represented in front of them. So let's just go over those because I don't think I mentioned it yesterday. The 4 symbols for the shaman are the rattle. So you can see, just a sec, there is the smoke bundle. Here's the rattle here. So it is a skull rattle. So this is the element of air. And these are the tools of the shaman, right? Very much, they're the tools of the shaman. So we have the rattle representing air, the knife representing stone here on the altar, and then we have the smoke bundle. And here, this is a tine from an antler, and this is the cup representing the water. It's kind of cool. I like the way the smoke is drawn here. Will Worthington's art is really something, isn't it? And then over here for the seer, the high priestess, if you will, she also has all of the symbols represented in front of her, which is kind of different than a RWS high priestess. So her symbols are the cup. And I just need to locate, well, we do have this huge vessel of water here as well too. So we have, just a second here. Is there another cup? No, this is the cup. And then we have here is the wand. And just a second, I'm looking. So cup and wand. And her air element is, what is her air element? Must be the arrowhead for the suit of arrows. I know that she has so she has her crane bag here as well too. So within her crane bag, she also has a bag of runes, and the runes would also be connected to the element of air. And then we are missing the element of fire. So I guess the element of fire is her staff, and then we see the water here in front of her in the well, and then we have the arrowhead. And we have the stone. We also have the labyrinth symbol here, which is a really powerful symbol. You're going to see this throughout this tarot. The other important thing to understand between these 2 cards is that he stands before a cave. The cave traditionally is the entrance to the when you're journeying, moving into the lower world. It would make sense that it is one of the entrances into the lower world. And so he is sitting there in front of a cave. And the high priestess, the seer, is standing in front of the world tree. So she's actually located right here in front of the world tree. And so this also, when one does journey work, this is very much a shamanic deck. So there's lots of symbols around journeying and that kind of thing. So she's standing in front of the entrance to the hollow of the tree, which also is a way to enter into the lower world. Yeah, so they do similar work. It's just the approach of the work that feels different to me. And I also find it interesting in this deck that we're not balancing fire and water. This is air and water. Your fire is up here. So as I keep saying, over and over, it's really important to let this deck be its own experience and not try to force anything onto it. Okay, Fairy Wren, hello, welcome. Oh, you're feeling crappy about winter. I know it can be really, really hard to be in the challenging times. Burning Dreamer 13, hello. Remind me where you are, Burning Dreamer. So Mary Beth asked about the feathers. Yeah, so the feathers would also represent the element of air, but also that inner knowing, that inner wisdom. And so there's this there's a beauty in both of these cards. It's just the pulse of each of them is slightly different. Remember that this is the opening of the wheel of the year over here. And here we're in the opposite season. So this is the autumn over here. And when we're looking at these crosses in this direction, this is the start of the season. So here is the start of the spring. And then here, this is the autumn. So it might also feel a little bit different to you as far as the and I struggle with this, right? Because my seasons don't feel exactly aligned with this deck. And so it's a practice to continue to let this deck be its own thing. All right, so let's go to some of the other overlays. Because I think I don't know if the graphics help you, but they help me to keep my discussion focused. So this is what we're looking at right now. So the SEER. And then we're going to go to this one here. Okay. So at the top of this season, of autumn, August 1st, and we need to change this. So in the Southern Hemisphere, so remember, this is where our friends are in the Southern Hemisphere right now. And so it's not August 1st, but it's February 1st. So this experience is the February of the Southern Hemisphere. This experience is the February of the Northern Hemisphere, February, March, right? The spring and the fall. And I think as tarot readers, which, most of you are in this chat, it's a big offering to keep that perspective of North and South. And we're in this place, we're on YouTube, right? We need to welcome the whole world and understand that the energy is slightly different in different places, not only Northern and Southern Hemisphere, but, everything else that's going on in the world. But this deck awakens that opportunity. And so this may not be for the Northern Hemisphere people. Can you see my chopstick here? Yeah, the Lammas up here, August 1st, and Lammas being connected to the SEER. I don't know. It's a different experience, and I still, even going through the wheel with this deck multiple times, it takes patience. It takes thought, and it's okay if you trip up and mess up your dates and your seasons. But I, as a reader, as a seeker, want to reach out and understand the different sides of the coin, the different sides of the perspective. And then look also to the sun. Just remind yourself of the sun and the moon association. So in this season here, the sun is in its waning phase, and then the moon starts in her waxing phase as well too. So we also have that layer within here. Okay, so are we good with that so far? You're in France. Ah, okay. Thank you for reminding me. The Wanderer we're going to do tomorrow, Kristen, and so I will we're going to do the World Tree tomorrow, and then on Tuesday I will speak to the Wanderer. Okay, so if you look at the quadrants here, so again, remember that in this deck, as far as the timings go, the king comes first, and the king welcomes in the season of autumn. So this is your, wow, you know, so much magical energy associated with the heron. And remember too that we had a king bird representing, why don't I put them both down and you can kind of look at this. I think you guys can handle this. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. My bad. I think if we do this together, it's really kind of helpful to just start to build over and over and over, right? Sometimes repetition is really helpful. So the king of vessels is the heron. The heron welcomes in the season of autumn. The king of air is the kingfisher, who welcomes in the season of spring. And then we have the swan for the queen of air. The queen over here in water is the salmon. And shamanically speaking, this is such a significant creature. In many, many traditions all over the world, the salmon carries this very, very powerful, powerful energy. And I believe and I feel the connection of the seer here to these animals. Like these two creatures, this king and this queen, feel so connected to the seer. Like I get why these animals were chosen to represent water. And then for the night, we have the eel. Oh, how can I fit this all on here? The eel. Sorry, I can't show everything all at the same time. We had the hawk yesterday for the night. The eel is going to come up in lots and lots of mythology. The eel is a shapeshifter as well too, and is wielded as an object in some battles and different things. The eel, you'll definitely see changing shapes. And so for the eel to represent the Knight of Vessels, it's really, really cool energy. There's definitely a spiritual high priestess kind of vibe to all of these animals. They're very, very cool. And then we have the otter. And one of the things that I like about the otter is that the otter brings in the energy of the wanderer. So remember yesterday we were talking about why does the page leave the season and why does the king welcome in the season? And I think if you can start to build a repertoire of associations, it can really, really help with this. And some of them are a lot easier than others. For me, connecting the otter to the wanderer, to the naivety, to the joyfulness, to the playfulness of the fool, of the wanderer in this case. Okay, I'm just gonna hello to Brienne Love, welcome, thanks for being here. IT guy, is this process from the Wild Magic book or your own? This process is from the dates, the very specific, let me go to my face so you can see me, because I hate talking without looking at you. I know I'm not looking at you, but in the guidebook to the, I'll go over here. In the guidebook to the deck, there are general references to the dates and the times and the associations to the wheel. It doesn't get very, very specific. In the Wild Magic book, you start to dive into more of the shamanism and the working with the deck. This one has lots of meditations in it. It has amazing spreads, and we're going to be doing some of those. And then in the other book, the third book, which I showed yesterday, where is it? This one, A Year in the Wildwood. This one goes into the specific dates and times of the card associations. And the author of the third book that I just showed you worked with Mark and John on the creation of the deck. They've all been working together for years from the very beginning, from the Greenwood Tarot. And so through these 3 guidebooks, they have revealed different layers of the deck. And what I am offering you today, none is my original thought. Some of it is my my responses to the cards, my responses to their writings, but it's all from the resources of these 3 books and my own journey and my own work with the deck. Okay. All right, let's go back. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, so here we need to adjust the dates for our friends in the Southern Hemisphere. So the August becomes February. So the August becomes February. The September becomes March. And the October becomes April. And this system, like I said yesterday, it's not about, how can I want to make this clear, because I do not practice predictive tarot. You know, predictive tarot, sometimes I will, you know, wander hesitantly into predictive tarot, but for the most part, it's not my shtick. You know, I don't really think it serves us. And how should we do this? Let's go like this. Saying that, however, it's so hard to find words around timing in tarot. If we can be aware of the seasons, if we can be aware of the flow of cycles, the energy of the sun, the energy of the moon, the energy of the months, we have this foundational layer. And this deck, like few others, provides this very profound, thorough foundation from which to explore the wheel of the year and to explore the flow of the seasons, the flow of cycles. And it's not about understanding, for example, that August 10th is the Two of Vessels. It's associated with the Heron. And if these cards come up, it means that you're going to win your lottery ticket on the 10th of August. You know, it's not about that. It's about awareness of cycles and seasons. Okay. Beautiful. Kristen, you just have so much research right at your fingertips. It's brilliant. Okay, these are the arrows in my hand. I need to find the rest of the vessels. Where did I put you? So the vessels are extraordinary, extraordinary cards. And there's something really, really beautiful about this. So this is the energy, actually our friends in the Southern Hemisphere right now, you would be in the energy of the Two of Vessels. It's the 20th today. So we're going to be moving into the Three of Vessels energy. So we start with this font of life. And I've got way too many cards on the table here. So let's just we'll do the King with a few cards, and then we'll build from there. The Vessels is actually it's a fairly easy suit to read. It's very, very peaceful. The symbology repeats itself. No trouble at all reading this one. This deck, as well as all of the Druid decks, there's just something about the water and the rocks, the stone formations, that allows for the intuition to really come forth without any effort whatsoever. So during the time of the King of Vessels, we have this Waters of Life, this beautiful font. And then this is your Two of Vessels in the deck. Pretty easy to read, right? If you read Rider-Waite-Smith. And then there's your Three of Vessels with the Dance of the Cranes. And if you have ever seen cranes playing the Dance of the Cranes, it's just incredibly, incredibly beautiful energy. And then when we move to the salmon, so remember from yesterday that both the Queen and the Knight touch the equinox. So if we draw a line across like this, we have the influence of both the Queen and the Knight. So the salmon at the eel at the autumnal equinox. For our southern hemisphere friends, this is the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. Okay. I know it's a lot. It's a lot, but we can do this, right? We're clever people. And so here today, the energy for our friends in the south is the Three of Vessels, joy, connected to the energy of the Queen. Or the heron, actually. We haven't quite got to the energy of the, well, yeah. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful energy, whether it's heron or salmon. This is just kind of the mood of the day for our friends who are in the southern hemisphere. And isn't that a beautiful picture? So what if you were to use that as the base for your reading for today? So suppose you use this deck just as a base layer, almost use this deck as a significator for other readings. And you put in on your reading table the cards for today. And suppose your today is the Seer, it's the King. Maybe you want to have the salmon there as well too, and the Three of Cups. You lay down those cards and then you shuffle another deck. Maybe you shuffle another shamanic style deck, or you shuffle another nature-based deck, or you pull out an oracle deck that speaks to the Wildwood Tarot. And then you allow the natural flow of the cycles of the energy of this deck to inform your reading. Right? There are endless ways to use this deck, endless possibilities. And I love that this deck gets us to understand that while we, okay, so let's look at our northern hemisphere experience right now. Just let me try to grab this. 1, 2, we're still kind of king. Okay, so shaman, king, 3, and well, let's go shaman, king, and 3. So while this is the experience of our friends in the south, today in the north, we have the energy, where are you? Here we go. The energy of the shaman, the wisdom, the clear sight of the kingfisher. And then we have this very challenging card here. This is the Three of Arrows. And in the Wildwood Tarot, if you look at the flame, to me, the clue in this particular card is the flame. And this is about burning through and moving the energy of they call it jealousy in this deck, and they speak to that really, really well. I'm just going to read something to you because sometimes I go off in a little bit different direction with this card, but I want to read you 1 or 2 lines from this card because this is important. This is where we are today, so why not have a peek at this? Multiple hands in action here. I feel a bit like a magician myself. Okay. Attention of emotions. Attention of emotions, creating fear, jealousy, or envy between people, competing passions or feelings of resentment that are ultimately destructive. Resentment or negative attitudes toward family, friends, business associates, born of emotional insecurity and social prejudice. The thing about this card is that it takes on a slightly different vibe than an RW as three of swords. This is 3 of arrows. And so when I hear words like resentment and jealousy, it really starts me moving towards something that I don't want to face, something that I don't want to remember. And when we're moving through this time, and if this is the actual energy of this moment of this day, I love that we have this flame here, this flame that encourages us to transform any lingering resentments, any lingering aspects of jealousy. You know, sometimes I find the egoic mind wants to think, you know, once we have dealt with something, we've dealt with it and it's over and done with. But we carry these little particles with us, and there's always more work to do. And this is a card that reminds us there's always more work to do. And here, this Kingfisher is full of that insight and wisdom and patience, the patience it takes to, you know, hover back and forth over the river to find the perfect timing to catch that fish. And the shaman, right? The patience that is required with the shamanic medicine practices is incredible. And the shaman also knows that the work is never done. And so when this card comes up and you feel, I feel, oh, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, it might be fine, but that doesn't mean that once a year, once a month, we would benefit from burning through some of this and just acknowledging any residual energy in this aspect. So anyway, that's kind of more than I wanted to say, but these cards can lay a foundation and they can help to bring insight into, like I said, like throwing down an oracle deck in relation to this, the energy of these cards. Okay. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. Okay. Hello to Moon Chariot. Welcome. And then, so then we go on, we have the equinox and we go on. So then we have the 4, which looks very familiar. And this butterfly kind of moving over, it's like light washing over and cleansing and purifying. The thing I like about the 5, oh, I'm in the wrong suit, guys. Sorry, this was our suit yesterday. My bad, wrong suit. And I know I didn't really talk about meanings, but we are going to talk about meanings when we go through some of the readings and spreads. I should have done that yesterday, gone through more. Oh, well. So here we are, vessels today. Arrows yesterday, vessels today. 3 of vessels. 4 of vessels should look very familiar. The keyword is boredom in this deck. 5 of vessels takes on a completely different energy. It is about ecstatic dance. It's about the magic of the pentacle. It's about being in the experience of the light, right? This is a card you need to let go of any associations with other forms and let this card be what it is, because it is an incredibly, incredibly beautiful card. The 6 of vessels, you could bring in a little bit of your RWS. It's such an incredibly beautiful card. Oh my God. The keyword is reunion. And you can really feel the connection of all of the environment in that card. The 7 of vessels is mourning. And there's something very, very peaceful in this card. The other thing that you will find in, I call it book number 3, Alison Cross's book, A Year in the Wildwood, is that at the back of the book, one of the things she does is she lists all the cards that have a skull, all the cards that have, so all the cards that have a heron, all the cards that have a similar thing. And so she draws lines and connections between the cards. And it's a very nice guide to help you draw ties between cards. The 8 of vessels, I suppose you could bring in a little bit of RWS. The keyword is rebirth. I find this very easy to read. You can go with the flow of the letting go of the water. And it's so much more optimistic than an RWS. But look at the journey here from the 6 to the 7 to the 8, right? So we go from ecstasy to reunion to mourning to rebirth. And so now we would be at the time of the page, right? So the page, the influence of the otter. And we have these 2 very, very joyful cards. So the 9 is generosity. And the 10 is happiness. So when we leave the season of water, when we leave the season of water, when we leave the season of vessels, the season of autumn, we leave with the otter, with generosity, and with happiness. Hello, Silver Spiral Tarot. Welcome to my channel. And Woven Pixel, Fairy Wren and Woven Pixel are talking about a Crane Bird Festival. Yeah, Crane Bird Festival. I'm not sure which festival you're talking about. The only time that I have been to a Crane Bird Festival was in Hokkaido. And it was extraordinary. It was not so much a festival as it was the season of the cranes. And so we went every sunset to watch. It was at sunset that they did their dance and so forth. Yeah. So this deck is magical. This deck is an opportunity for us to connect with flow, to connect with the beauty of nature, the beauty of all that is around us. And I think today, after I sign off, I think I'll record the first meditation that is in the back of the guidebook that comes with the cards. And I'll give you instructions. If you don't have the deck, so the idea, from my understanding of the meditations in the book, is that you hold your deck in your hands and you can either read through them if you're reading it yourself, or you could record your own voice and listen to it. And then with your question in mind, shuffle the cards and draw a card. So all of these guided meditations in the Wild Magic book, as well as in the guidebook that comes with the deck, are intended to take you into the mood and the energy of the deck. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna record them, and then I'll put them into this playlist so you can listen to them. And if you want to do it with your own voice, sometimes that's more effective. You know, if you like to hear and you want to resonate with your own energies, then I would recommend that you do that as well too. So let's leave that with water today. Tomorrow we're going to go back up to the top of the wheel with fire and talk more about the world tree and the relationship between the world tree and the seer and the shaman. And then on Tuesday, we'll bring in the wanderer and we'll kind of finish this conversation. And then we'll go to the rest of the majors and look at some of the spreads and so forth. Okay. Let me know if you have particular questions about the deck. And if I know the answer or if I know where to direct the conversation, I'm happy to do that as well too. Okay. Let's just go see if there's any more comments before I sign off. Hello, Ange. Oh, Othello. The Othello Crane Festival. I'll have to look that one up. Just really beautiful. Ooh, and you've actually had cranes in your garden. That would be amazing. We have herons where I am. I see herons pretty much all year round, but to see actually cranes, that would be extraordinary. Okay, cool. All right, so I will see some of you tomorrow, not the same time tomorrow. It'll be in the evening. I have a class tomorrow morning. So I'll see some of you tomorrow morning. And yeah, and then let's just carry on and just do this step by step and really enjoy your deck. And now go, look at your cards and maybe spread out all the vessels and spread out all the arrows and go, oh yeah, that's where they are. That's where I am. And maybe there's a correspondence between where your friends in the South are and where you are right now. Maybe there's a connection there. Like, you don't have to, force a connection, but it's beautiful if you could do that. What if, I have this other crazy idea. What if say for example, your partner was traveling somewhere in the world, different time zone, different, so let's go different hemisphere because it's kind of how this works. And then it would help you to understand the energy of what they might be going through, or it might provide a lens from which to look through or at what was going on for them, and to understand or be more compassionate in understanding what you are going through is a different flow of energy because of the cycles of nature. How cool is that? Yeah. Okay. So thanks. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me, and and have fun with your cards. Namaste.